Hello and welcome to the Understanding Narcissists YouTube channel. Thank you for joining me. This video is going to be covering the fundamental nature of dysfunction and the dysfunction that results in abuse. Now, I should start off by saying that it's all emotional and it's all totally relevant to narcissists. In fact, it's exactly what's wrong with narcissists. But it can apply to everyone, everywhere. Anybody can fall into this kind of trap, in this dysfunctional adaptation, this dysfunctional behavior, this dysfunctional pattern. Narcissists happen to be the height of it, in my opinion. They happen to be an extreme form of it, and so with that extreme example, you can really study and learn, but it's something that's present in all of us. And the unifying feature of all of this, of all the abuse, or really the dysfunction that then generates the abuse and the abusive relationship, is compartmentalization. It's fundamentally a problem of emotional processing. Or to put it really simply, accepting your feelings. That, in my opinion, is the big crux of narcissism. And really the obstacle for them. And by their example, and by being around them, you can find that it does kind of infect you as well. You become that. You become the kind of a compatible portion of this symbiotic relationship. Now, I don't like to say symbiotic because it kind of implies that it's mutually beneficial, and it's really not. It's mutually harmful, but it's feeding this pattern that allows you to continue the emotional dysfunction, the emotional, or really the lack of emotional processing. And so the emotional processing part, when it starts to break down, that's when you see compartmentalization come in. And that just means that things in your head are organized in such a way so that there can be contradictions and denial and lies and all the things that don't make sense. You never sort everything out, so they become distinct in your mind, and they're never reconciled. They're never consolidated, so to speak. That, to me, as simple as that is, I think that is the problem of narcissism. I'm not exactly sure what causes it, what causes them to stay in the infantile state, and that lack of development that then follows as a result. I mean, I'm certain it comes from abuse, but I'm not sure how the abuse forms it, how it causes it. And this idea, I think, is so important, albeit not super fleshed out, that it really does explain everything, at least where you and the narcissist are concerned. So it's a really comprehensive kind of explanation for everything, or a framework rather, that maybe it doesn't explain everything just yet, but it works really well, especially in recovery, especially in improving and getting better in your life after a narcissist. So as I said, narcissists suffer from this issue. They don't have a choice about it. They're not aware of it. Whatever exists within them that prevents them from realizing the emotional dysfunction, their emotional processing problem, it is not within you, and I don't think myself. I don't think we have that in the way that they do. However, we still inherit and adapt that dysfunction nonetheless. Now, we can overcome it, we can realize it, but it's just very infectious. The same thing happens to us. It has to, in order to be around a narcissist. That's where that kind of compatibility comes in. There's sort of a polarity. You have to be dysfunctional if you're going to live with them. And by the way, you have to be getting worse in order to live with them. You have to be making ever increasing amounts of self-sacrifice and really kind of violating your own rights and your own responsibilities. You have to be forfeiting so much of what makes you functional because they are dysfunctional and they always need more. They're always getting worse. They don't get better. They never get better. They just get worse and worse and worse. That is a necessity, in my opinion, and I might cover that in a different video as to why that is. But at the same time, it also happens within you. It's not just them. If you're not fighting the bad, the dysfunction, the emotional processing issues, you're not going to be getting better either. It's only going to get worse. With dysfunction, you don't really spin your wheels. It came from something bad in the first place, and that bad just proliferates. It just multiplies and continues to build up if you don't combat it. It's just like in life, it's kind of like the good things, they're wonderful, they can be hard to come by, but they all require work. They all require commitment. They all require you to really commit yourself fully and be fully devoted to making something good, whether it be, yourself, your relationship with yourself, your relationship with others, making things of yourself. And all it takes to ruin that is one bad thing. And a bad thing is not terribly difficult to engineer. That's the easy way. The bad stuff, it doesn't feel good, but it's pretty easy to do. It's pretty easy to make a misstep and screw everything up, unfortunately. That's not terribly difficult. The difficult part is the good. Once the bad starts rolling in, it just keeps on coming. You have to actively take steps and implement measures in your life to prevent it, to mitigate it, to reduce it as much as you possibly can. And that's going to take that I want to be more specific, but that's going to take that positive emotional processing, that functional behavior to do so. And in order to do that, there can't be any contradictions. There can't be any question. There can't be any lagging. You have to be committed to that endeavor. Once you get to that point where you're not taking everything into consideration, say your feelings towards a narcissist, there is so much going on that cannot be revealed. Just by the nature of the disorder, everything has to be censored. Everything has to be, I call it kind of pooling. There's all these different pools beneath you of feelings. Some of them are contradictory. Some of them don't make any sense, but they've never been let out, and so they've never been able to work out. So they're driving your behavior. They're affecting you. They're affecting your decision making, and they're steering your life, but you may not be aware of it. At least not in that instant. You can become aware of it. You can overcome it, but you have to acknowledge all those feelings. That's the only way to move forward in a functional way. You have to work out all the bad, negative behaviors first. And so I also want to talk about how this kind of appears day to day in a narcissist's daily behavior. And you already know, though let me talk about how you might see it. It really follows from the compartmentalization concept. Things are not sorted out. Things are not worked out. Every conversation has a specific purpose of giving them supply and diverting more of the truth, making it a more difficult thing to grasp. They don't embrace the truth. They don't embrace how people feel and sort anything out. Everything is avoidance. Everything is running. Everything is manipulation and control to get people to do what they want. There is no on the level with a narcissist. There is no honest exchange. It all has to revolve around and accommodate what they're feeling right then, which is probably insecurity, which is probably a lack of control. Again goes to that bad behavior, which is they always need more. It's always getting worse. Why? Because it's not good stuff. It's not going to sustain them. It cannot feed them as healthy individuals. You're surrounded in this dysfunctional storm, and it's always raging, and all of it is really kind of superfluous. You get obsessed and concerned with all of these things that aren't really relevant. They're red herrings, they're distractions. And they're all meant to be that way. They're all meant to pull you away from the actual problem, which is that emotional processing, which is that the actual personal issues that they're facing and you're facing as a consequence. And so the central theme, the unifying theme and big picture of emotional disorder and disarray is isolation, is this wide gulf and distance from the functional behavior and what you're actually feeling. It's a simple thing, and the results of it are very complex, but it still traces back to this simple concept. Now, even though it's a simple concept, once you're in that problem, once you're not sorting those things out, and all the things I just talked about are happening, getting back to the functional behavior is a tremendous amount of work. However, it is still very possible. And in many ways, as I've talked about before, like getting away from narcissists, it's kind of impossible not to do once you're aware of it. Because now you're thinking about it. And it's not something that's so simple that now you know it, now it's not a problem. You do have to work on it. And at the same time, you can't just drive and work on it until, every single day until it's all gone. It doesn't work that way. It kind of ebbs and flows. There's highs and lows to it. In parts where you make a lot of progress, and times where you feel like you're taking steps backwards. It really is kind of one step forwards, two steps back as it feels. But that entire perception of the process as you're going through it actually means you're getting better, even though it feels like you're going backwards, because you're actually learning more. You're moving away from that dysfunctional behavior. You're acknowledging your feelings. It's kind of like when people ask me, well, what can I do to make the recovery process as quick and easy and painless as possible? And it's kind of in and of itself a contradiction, because there are things you can do to make it easy or easier. But by definition, it's hard and a painful process. You're going to have to go through that to get better again anyway. Because let's be honest, acknowledging your feelings is painful, especially when you're not doing it, especially when you're casting all of that into a dark closet and sweeping it under the rug every day, and you're getting used to that. Once you have to acknowledge all of those feelings, what's really causing it, you've avoided it for so long, and maybe for another reason, I don't know, it's just so painful. It's just so painful to have to go through and work out. And it's a part of the process, but at the same time, there are also things you can do to improve. There is a method to the madness. It's not just random steps in the dark, hoping to find your way out of the tunnel, hoping to find the light at the end of the tunnel. So I hope you found this video useful. Like it if you do below. Share it with somebody you think might benefit from it. Comment in the comment section below. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And thank you so much for watching. I'll see you on the next episode. Bye.